Down the side is your services. Pretty straightforward. You compare one company's services to the other. The one who has the most services are the ones that they should probably go with because they're getting the greatest value for the dollar. Now that being said, if you build one of these, make sure you have the most services. If you don't use technique. Okay? Now, also you want to have your manager sign off on it. But what I can tell you is this, is that 70% of the service you offer will be the exact same as your competition. Maybe 80. But 30% is going to make you special. On those special ones, you want to use a technique called fact, benefit, close, takeaway. Fact, benefit, close, takeaway. Now, could I give you an example of how to deliver this? Yes or no? Okay, so just put your pens down, focus up here. I wanted to have a stool, but the house doesn't have one. So just focus and listen to the dialogue, because success in sales comes from mastering dialogue, technique, and process. The good make it look possible, the great make it look easy. Always remember that. So, I've gone through the listing presentation, it's gone well. We've gone through our pricing presentation, it's gone well. I've moved to close to get the city. And they look at me and say, you want to know what's up, Mark? It sounds really good to me. But before we do sign anything, we're planning on interviewing a couple other realtors. And I'll say, okay, I can certainly understand how you feel about that. I'm just curious, though. Can I ask you why? Well, you know, we drove around the neighborhood. We thought, who's got the most signs? Want to make sure we got 3 prices. Does this sound familiar to any of you? Yes or no? Want to make sure we find the company that offers us the most services at the best price. Say, well, I understand that. Just makes good sense to me. By the way, can I ask you, who else were you planning on having over? Well, we're going to have Slouch and BS Realty, Bob Smith. Say, well, Bob's a good guy. I didn't know he was out already. Don't get much for mortgage fraud. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Just seemed like when he was a cat burglar, he did a lot of open houses. No, I'm kidding. You always raise your competition. So I would say, you want to know something? Slouch Realty and Bob Smith, they're both really great companies. Really great companies. Truthfully, I know, because they sell my listings all the time. I've done business with them a lot. They're both good people. You follow me? So you just, they sell a lot of money, okay? But you know something, Mr. and Mrs.? What if I said to you that I could prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt that Marc Leder in Coldwell Banker Seacoast offers more services than any other company in the city? And if I could prove that to you, that we offer more services than any other company in the city, which will mean we'll attract more buyers means you'll get better money. If I could prove that to you beyond a shadow of a doubt, would you at least consider giving me the opportunity to look after it for you?
Yeah.
You see the face, the voice inflection, see the puppy dog look? I don't know how else to say it than that. Okay? Good salespeople are good actors. That's all part of what I have to teach you. Because when I'm at home, I'm a different person than when I'm on presentation. At home, I'm a pair of blue jeans and ball cap kind of guy. Right? I love my Harley, our dirt bikes. I'd rather be out fishing with my boys than working, but we all got to make a living. You with me? So being a good salesperson is being a good actor. You don't act the same on an appointment as you do at home. So if I could prove that to you beyond a shadow of a doubt, would you at least consider giving me the opportunity to say yes? Okay, well, Mr. and Mrs., I think I understand better than what you think I understand what you're going through. You see, 5 years ago, I was working at the Ump factory. Been there for a number of years, pension and all that stuff, and I kept coming home. My wife said to me, what's wrong? I say, honey, I'm not happy. I'm getting the job. I really wish I could do something else. And she looked at me and she says, why don't you get into real estate? You've got a lot of friends in town. You can go tell them 15 minutes or a half hour. You have a lot of friends in town. You know a lot about building stuff. Why don't you get into real estate? You'd be great at it. So I thought about it. I thought, what the heck? So I went and took all these courses, and I came up with this little piece of paper that said I could sell houses, but I had to find a broker. And I got thinking, which broker would I go with? They're all real good. I'm serious. I like Bob Smith. I like Sam Slouch. Good people. So what I did was I drove around the neighborhoods that I wanted to specialize in. I wanted to find the company and see who had the most signs. And then I thought I'd go interview with those companies, find the one that offered me the most services. So just like we've spent the last hour and a half together, I didn't just spend an hour and a half. I spent 2, 3, 4 hours with some of these companies, going through what are the services you see. Not that selling one house isn't important, it's extremely important. But I wasn't trying to find someone to sell one house. I was trying to find someone that was going to offer me the services that I could offer to you. Because I knew the more services I could offer from them, the more services I could offer to you, that would mean I'd be more successful in the real estate business. I'm not talking about selling one house. I'm talking about creating a career that's going to feed, house, and clothe my family. That's called emotional selling. Logic fails, switch to emotion. You with me? Logically, they should have listed with Coldwell Banker Seacoast 20 minutes ago. Okay, you have to be ahead of lettuce. I mean, Tim and Dave and the management team, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but you're working with a company that's not only very well respected locally, I'm going to tell you what, this management team is respected nationally for what they do now. Make no mistake. So I said, I'm trying to find a company that's not only going to help me feed house and it's going to help me feed, house, and clothe my family. So I spent hours with all these companies. And here's what ended up happening. I came out more confused than when I went in. So what I did was I created this chart. And it was pretty simple. I listed the names of the companies, I listed all the services, and I checked off which ones I offered versus the other ones. And I thought I'll come to the end, whoever had the most services, that's who I'd go with. And so then I would go through the individual services. The ones that are the same, I'd point them out. The ones that made us special, I'd use fact, benefit, close, takeaway, get them to acknowledge it. And then when I'm done going through the company comparison, I look at them and say, let me ask you something, Mr. and Mrs. You'll see that Coldwell Banker Seacoast, we offer 42 services. The next one's 36, 35, 27, 24. By the way, those 8 services, which ones do you think will help sell your house? Well, I don't know, Mark. I say, I don't know either. That's why I wanted to make sure I could offer them all to you. But assuming this chart is right, you see my manager signed off on it that it's true and accurate, would you think that Marc Leder made the right choice going with Coldwell Banker Seacoast? Oh, you do? Okay, well, I didn't come to that conclusion that quickly. It wasn't until I started to get letters like this. Here's one from Bob Smith. It says, because of my success, he'd like to hire me. So let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. If Bob Smith wants to hire Marc Leder to sell the houses they got for sale, who would they tell you that you should hire them to? Here's one from Slouch. Here's one from Relax. You follow or go with this gang, yes or no? See, what have we done with those referral letters up until, or not just referral letters, what have we done with recruiting letters? We throw them out more times than not. And you don't want to ever throw those things out because you say, hey, I'm going up against Remax. Here's a letter from the Remax broker. It says right here, he'd like to hire me. So he wants to hire me to sell your stuff. If he was being honest with you, he'd tell you to list your stuff with me too. Am I right or wrong? He put it in writing. He loves me. Says I'm great.